Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a complete overview including several different comparisons. I have two different eye looks, this one right here as well as the picture that I posted on Instagram the other day using the new Anastasia Beverly Hills and Jackie Aina collaboration. I mean, look at this PR box. This was sent to me. I am over the moon with this. It is so beautiful. It's iridescent. It has this like snake skin kind of texture or crocodile something. I don't know. It's textured and it's beautiful. And then when you open it up, you have the palette on the inside and the box that houses the palette looks just like the PR box. So yes, I will be keeping this outer packaging, but let me go ahead and open it up for you guys. Now this is what the palette looks like. It is not velvet. It is a kind of smooth type of texture. You can see it still has like that snake skin kind of print on there and it's iridescent just like the packaging. I would say that the box is just a little bit more vibrant, but this is still really pretty. And then on the inside, we have these gorgeous shades. Now, like I mentioned, this one was sent to me in PR, but I don't always know like what is going to get sent and what is not. So I did end up ordering the palette. I knew I had to have it just like based on these colors. So I think I'm going to give this one to a friend. I haven't decided yet, but I did also purchase this palette. Before I get into the swatches and the eye looks and the comparisons and everything, I'm going to give you guys just a little bit of information from the Anastasia Beverly Hills website. First off, it retails for $45 and it is limited edition. This palette was created in collaboration with influencer Jackie Aina, featuring Jackie's must-have eyeshadow and pressed pigment shades for straight-up gorgeous looks. Create everything from neutral matte eyeshadow looks to dazzling metallic makeup looks. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into the swatches. Like it mentioned, some of these are pressed pigments, and pressed pigments are not eye safe. They can stain the eye, they can irritate the eye. I never have any issues personally, but some people do. I do get staining sometimes, but I never have anything irritate my eyes. It's just something to watch out for. There are stars by all of the ones that are a pressed pigment. First up, we have Soleil, a metallic soft peach with gold shift. Supreme, this is a pressed pigment. Matte rosy pink. We have Pinker. This is also a pressed pigment, matte mid-tone cool plum. Another pressed pigment, Big Wig, matte rich purple. Dwala's, I feel like I can't say that right, Dwala's. Metallic golden olive. Credit, a deep matte plum brown. Lituation, metallic deep taupe with a violet shift. Zam, sparkling rose gold. Wiggley's, metallic cranberry red. Shookington, metallic violet with a blue shift. Trust Issues, sparkling white gold. Edges, a matte deep peach. Sponsored, metallic chocolate with a teal shift. And lastly, Ginger, a matte caramel brown. Now I'm going to move on to both of the eye looks, and I'm going to start off with the one that I was wearing the other day on Instagram and then end with this one. I'm going to start off with the shade Pinker on a MAC 217. I'm first tapping this on the very outer corner. I can tell that this is going to be a pigmented shade, so I want to start down lower. And then when I have less product on my brush, I will start to bring it upward. But I'm going to do this very slowly because you can see just how pigmented that is. So I'm going to take my time and just work it upwards without picking up any additional product. Small little circular motions to bring it upward. And now, as you can tell, it's blending out and upward very nicely. Start bringing it inward now. The remainder of the product on the brush right on this inner portion of the eye. So you can see how light it got once it blended out. clean Wangas number 17. I'm just going to go around the edges of that shade. There's no product on this brush at all. And I'm just making sure that the edges are nice and diffused. Same MAC 217, and now I'm going to pick up the shade Big Wig. I am going to tap this again, just right on this outer corner. I'm going to start working it into the crease. Back and forth windshield wiper motions, then slowly pushing the product upward, mainly on this outer corner right here. I'm basically angling my brush upward and doing just like small little sections like this to push it upward, and then small circular motions. But I don't want to use too many circular motions because I don't want it to blend up too high. And then I'm going to go back in with that Wangas number 17 and blend around the edges. MAC 242 in the shade Sponsored. I am going to place this on the lid, starting in the center, or on the center, and then tapping over the edge of the dark purple and bringing it almost all the way to the inner corner, but not all the way. I am using this shade Dry. Love this shade. Same brush and this shade Dwalas. I am placing this on the inner portion of the lid, packing it on and tapping over the green. MAC 219 pencil brush and Shookington. I am going to take this right along the lower lash line. Trust Issues on a MAC 242. I'm going to place this right at the brow arch and then blend it out. Royal Inlay Nickel BOM 435. I'm going to place this on the inner corner as well. Royal Inlay Nickel BOM 44 in the shade Ginger. Getting just a tiny bit of that on my brush. And I am going to very lightly like feather this on the outside edge of the corner right here. I finished off the look with Milk Boss liner on the top inner rim and then just mascara. Now let's move on to the look that I'm wearing today. I'm going to start off with the shade Edges on this rougher fluffy brush. I am again going to start down at the bottom portion of the outer corner. And I'm doing this mainly because you can see the amount of intensity that it has just right off the bat. So starting down lower is going to help me be able to blend it out and soften it as I go upward. So as there's less product on the brush, you can see how much softer it gets when I'm working it upward. So it's kind of like a safe place to start, is right down here and then working it upward. I'm bringing the shade up pretty high. I'm not dipping in anymore. I'm just taking the excess, like I said. Whatever is left on the brush is what I'm using up here. Smith 235 in the shade Credit. Again, tapping this. Do you see how much pigment is there? Oh, just tapping this on the outer corner and literally just placing and tapping and pushing this on to the outer corner before I go in just tiny little circular motions to blend it out. I'm going to take this into the crease first before I bring it upward. So I really don't want this to be too dark. But again, as there's less amount of product on my brush, I am going to bring it slightly upward. Mainly on this outer portion here, but I will be bringing it into the crease area right here. If you need to dip back in for more color, remember to always start down here. MAC 239S and Lituation. I'm going to place this right beside the last shade we laid down, slightly overlapping it. Same brush and the shade Zam. I'm going to go right beside the last shade we put down, all the way to the inner corner, and overlapping Lituation. This shade is a little bit chunky. I feel like you could probably get a little bit more shine out of it if you used it wet. However, I don't want the inner portion right here to have like that crepey kind of look, so I'm not going to do that. I am, however, packing this on. And then go back in with just a little bit of Lituation and blend the edges together. Isom W23 and Soleil, placing this right at the brow arch, then blending out. Wayne Goss number 5 and Wigglese, I'm taking this right up against the lower lash line. I don't want to bring this really far down. So I'm going slowly and making sure it's as close as to the lash line as I can possibly get. But I don't want it to be like a really thin red line down here. I want it to be slightly blown out, but just not as much as I normally would take it down. I'm going back in with Soleil on a MAC 228. I'm going to buff this on the inner corner, and then I'm going to go finish off the look with liner and mascara. To finish off this eye look, I used Milk Boss liner and mascara just as I did in the last look. Now for my thoughts, tips, and comparisons. I'm going to start out with my thoughts. Packaging. This is packaging goals. The only thing that would have made this any better is if it actually looked like the box that it came in, but I am not complaining. This is so pretty, and I really do like that it's not velvet. Not that I personally mind the velvet, but if I had to pick between the two, I definitely prefer this, and I love anything iridescent like this. It just makes me all inside. Now for the shades on the inside. All of these performed very well. I did not get to use this pink shade right here called Supreme. And then the one shade that I was like, you're gonna work better wet is Zam. This one just has a little bit of texture to it. So if you apply this wet, it's going to be far more impactful. But I felt like today, if I use this wet on the inner corner, this shade was so smooth that it would have made the front portion of my eye look kind of crepey. So I didn't want to do that. But everything in this palette performed very well. I had a little bit of fallout, but that was mainly with the shimmer shades, and it was minimal at most. So overall, this is a very well done in terms of pigmentation, blendability, all of that. Very well done. The one thing that I have consistently heard across the board, and I have to admit that I thought it myself at first as well, is that when you look at this palette, you think all of Anastasia palettes look like this. And I do have to agree that upon initial thought, especially online, because I feel like you don't see the true colors online, this does look like a lot of shades in other palettes, and I'm going to get into the comparisons. But what I have to say that is different about this is the amount of pigmentation in here. You're going to have a few shades like ginger that, are repeated. You can find in other palettes, but overall, this just packs a punch. People with richer skin tones are not going to have to sit here and apply and apply and apply to get the color payoff that they're looking for. Lighter skin tones might be scared of this palette, but I think I've proved today that if you take your time and you do certain tips that I will get into, that this will work for you as well. But if this much pigmentation scares you or the colors are just too dark overall, it's a great pairing palette. So you could pair this with something softer and use this for your bold shades. I just think that this palette is stunning, and I'm really, really happy that I have it. So for the tips and tricks for people that are afraid to use this, I'm going to tell you right now. So the first thing I have to say is taking the shade and starting right here and packing the color and then bringing it up, especially if you're doing like this shape of eye. If you are doing something else, I would say just start down a little lower. So if you're going into the crease first, you don't want that color to be on the outer corner, tap off your brush and go just a little bit lower than your crease and then start to blend upwards. Natural, stiffer hair brushes are going to be your best friend when you're trying to blend out these shades to diffuse them. They pack a punch easily, but to diffuse them, you're going to want a workhorse type of brush. Not something that is overly soft, because something like this brush right here, I love this one. This is the 785 tapered blending brush. It's beautiful, but this is going to add on just a little bit of product. And also, it is so soft that it is not going to really blend out the shades like you want. So if you don't want to use natural hair brushes, that is fine, but you're going to have to use something that's just a little stiffer and will do a little bit of work for you. Another thing I want to suggest is don't do what I did. I like to use the Anastasia primer. Let me see. I have this on my eyes today and I did not set it. That is going to grab a hold of your color and it is just going to make it even more intense. But the thing I like about that primer is that it also will allow you to blend things out. Now, if you don't want to put in as much effort blending things out, set your primer. Whether it be a concealer, an actual primer, whatever you use, set it with a bone color shade or skin color shade. Use your translucent setting powder, whatever you want to do. That will diffuse the shades as well, and it will help you to blend it out. But definitely go in a little bit lower and use very little product and take your time. Do not keep dipping in. I think that's something that a lot of people are just accustomed to doing because they want to build up the shades. You don't have to build these up. These are pigmented. So you can go in with it one time, put it on your eyes, and then just slowly work it up. Take your time. Do not get into a rush. I'm telling you guys, it is possible. And then you're really not going to have any issues with any of the shimmer shades. And if you want to get a softer daily type of eye, either go in with less colors, meaning only use ginger or only use edges on the outer corner and crease, because what you can do is you say like edges today where I blended it out and how deep it was on the outer corner. It's the same shade, but because it's packed on the outer corner, it looks like it's two different shades. And then use Soleil or Zam all over the lid. It's going to be much, much softer. I just wanted to try out all of the different colors. Now let's get into the comparisons. What I'm going to do is I am going to show you these palettes side by side. I'm going to show you a picture of them side by side, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to swatch the colors in each of the palettes that look similar so you guys can see the difference. So I'm not going to swatch the entire palette of each of them. I'm just going to swatch the similar colors. The first palette that I am going to do is the Riviera palette up against the Jackie Aina. Next, Alyssa Edwards. Then we have the NORVINA palette. This is one that I definitely think pairs really well together. Another one I would definitely suggest pairing. This is the Soft Glam palette. And just to let you guys know, if you're wanting to see these like a little bit longer, I'm going to leave them at the end of the video as well. Next up is the Prism palette. And then everyone's favorite, Modern Renaissance. I hope you guys found those comparisons helpful. My final thoughts are, I love this palette. I think it is beautiful. I love the colors in here. I love how well it was done. I love the pigmentation. I love the quality. I definitely give this an A. I don't think it's a must-have for everybody, but you're asking me if I would recommend it. Absolutely. I think this is beautiful. My favorite shades are Sponsored, Dwala's, Trust Issues, and Wigglelies. Oh, and Edges. I really like Edges. This one surprised me how well it blended out into like this coral shade on me. It's beautiful, but just overall, very, very, very well done palette. I'm impressed. I am very impressed. Oh, there is one thing though, one critique. Kelsey and I were talking about the palette, the colors and everything, and we both agreed. We were talking about like the green Lambo and her outfit and everything. Seeing as the shade that I didn't use was this pink, if she had put in a neon green, like a just bomb bright green, kind of like, hold on, pulling out the Prism palette here. Deeper than this, obviously, but just think neon like this, but just like deeper in this palette. Oh, I think that would have been killer. She and I both agreed about that. I think that green would have taken it to the next level. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if it was helpful, if you liked it, if you like the palette, do you like the looks, all the questions. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.